favorite congressman from the 11th congressional district, but also my congressman, Gerry Connolly. And there was a request on the chat to get a look at your tie. But you're still muted, so let's make sure we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. And thank you to my colleague, Don Beyer. It is great to be with us today, even remotely, to remember who and what we are and what we stand for. I guess I want to inject a little bit of hope here. Doesn't always feel it, but we're actually winning. We've got to continue to fight, but we're winning. There are setbacks. We just had one in Virginia.
Yes,
but the progressive agenda is winning. Look at the national level. A lot of what Stella and Jeff and Eileen talked about was financed with federal dollars because a Democratic majority in the House and the Senate provided direct aid to schools and to localities. Fairfax County Schools, Stella, got over $300 million from the federal government, an enormous amount of money historically. Fairfax County, Jeff, got $750 million, enormous, allowing you to do all kinds of things that we've all been hoping to be able to do. On top of a record surplus, Eileen, budget surplus in Virginia, is another $4 billion provided by the most recent federal legislation in terms of COVID relief. These are the largest bills ever passed in American history, $6 trillion. And the first thing Joe Biden did when he became president was to get passed, with a Democratic majority, however slim, $1.9 trillion with a T dollars in relief to Americans. And that one bill, on top of providing relief and stabilizing the economy, cut child poverty in America in half, bigger than any single great society legislation during the Lyndon Johnson years in one fell swoop. That's what a progressive majority can do. Just as we saw in Richmond, we've seen at the national level the federal government. And we need to focus on what we've done a lot more than what hasn't yet been done. There's always unfinished work, and it's always difficult, especially when you get slim majorities. We passed a transformative infrastructure bill that will allow 1.9 million Virginians access to broadband. Broadband is, to the 21st century, what rural electrification was to the 1930s, and I'm wearing a Franklin Delano Roosevelt tie to remind us of it. It democratized opportunity, educational opportunity, employment opportunity, social and cultural opportunity. That's what universal broadband will do. That's what universal pre-K will do when we pass the Build Back Better bill, which we've already passed in the House. The economic effects of what a Democratic Congress has done not only has helped our school system and our local government and our state government, but nationally. Joe Biden created more jobs than any other president in his first year in office. The unemployment claims are the lowest they've ever been since 1969. The unemployment rate fell to 3.9%. It was double digits under Donald Trump. And in his last year in office, he lost 3.5 million jobs. The gross domestic product is growing at a rate of about 5.5%, enormous, compared to normal 2%. Consumer confidence, very high. We just saw in the retail sales during the holiday season, historic growth. Consumer confidence up, stock market up, sales up 8.5%. Huge jump during a pandemic. When Joe Biden became president, fewer than 2% of Americans were vaccinated. Today, 71% of all adults have had full vaccination and 85% have had at least one jab in the arm. Those are all because of Democratic policies resisted by Republicans, and in most cases, they didn't vote for any of it. But we got it done, and it's making a difference in people's lives. This week, we remembered something very painful, certainly painful for me. The anniversary of the January 6th insurrection. But that was a victory too. A violent mob incited by the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, attempted to stop the constitutional counting of the electoral votes that determined who was President of the United States. It's normally a ministerial and administrative and ceremonial function. Their purpose was to stop that count because they knew that if it was counted, Joe Biden would be declared president and Kamala Harris vice president. They did not prevail. We stayed until 3:40 in the morning to ensure those ballots were counted, no matter what. The mob did not prevail. And a year later, over 750 of those insurrectionists have been indicted and charged with crimes. A number of them sentenced to jail, as they should be. The stakes could not be higher for us as Democrats. Which direction will America go? And if we do our jobs, and if we continue to show results, and we stay true and faithful to our values, Americans will do the right thing. Americans will rededicate themselves to democratic constitutional democracy. Americans will turn away from violence and extremism. It's a long road to hope, but it's one we are prevailing in. But we cannot prevail if we get discouraged. We can't prevail if we despair and give up. So as we look to the road to Richmond and we're sending elected Democrats to hold firm in the midst of a temporary setback, we know what the stakes are at the state level in Richmond, at the local level here in Fairfax, and at the federal level in Capitol Hill and the White House. And we cannot afford, for the sake of future generations, to falter or to fail. So as we remember an alternative vision for how government might work or not work in a violent insurrection that failed, let's remember who and what we are and what we stand for and the values we're protecting. It isn't just partisan philosophy. It is the very foundations of constitutional democracy. And I believe firmly, as long as we hold fast, those constitutional democratic values will prevail, and this republic will go forward stronger. Thank you for your support. It is a privilege to have served in local government and to now serve at the federal level. Sometimes we feel that we're at the ramparts, but we know you have our backs. And I hope you all know we have yours. God bless you and stay safe.